Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today I thought we'd go over the changelogs which have come out in War Thunder over the last week or so. It's been a little bit slow when it comes to changelog stuffs, basically because we had the events for War Thunder, and also we have the IS-2 event which is starting tomorrow, and also you've got the Victory Day stuff going on, so there's a bunch of different things which are happening, but when it comes to actual fixes or changes in the game itself, there isn't actually that many, just mainly events to be covered and all of that stuff. I would also like to remind you, when it comes to sales, the 50% packs off sales have started now, so they are available from the May sale. The last part of the May sale is here now, so that's pretty cool. And if you want any of them, make sure to pick them up because they're all disappearing apart from the starter packs. But anyway, let's get into the changelogs. So the first part of Xfixed number 50 was about polishing the privacy mode, and this was kind of an interesting one. So if you don't know what the privacy mode was, it was a way that individuals are able to hide their names while they're in battle to basically hide their identity, so they don't get hunted, or they feel like they're a little bit safer when it comes to the online environment. And now they've done a few changes to it. So it says, during the past week, you've been trying out the new function that allows you to hide your nickname in battles and streams. Now it's time to use your feedback as a basis for a few tweaks to the privacy mode. Some players didn't realize that privacy mode was enabled as soon as you entered your fake nickname, so we reworked it into a simple toggle switch. You also don't have to think of a fake nickname anymore. Now when you enable privacy mode, your name will simply be shown as player. When watching a client-side or server-side replay, both your nicknames will be shown as player and your real name in the brackets. So there you go. Basically, it means that you don't have to come up with a nickname. But the thing is, so I'm kind of torn on this one, and I understand both sides of it. But from a content point of view, and generally the privacy mode is made for content creators, and generally stuff which is designed to benefit a very small minority of people over the majority, I'm not really in favor of focusing on, but it's here now. So, and, it's a nice change, but it's just, not one which is going to see widespread use, really. But the thing is, with the privacy mode, because you're able to type in a name, what you could do is you could actually change it into a form of content. You may have noticed over the last week or so, when I've been using certain highlights from streams, my names have been changing. And basically what we did is, on Twitch you have like this channel point thing, and you can get channel point rewards if you redeem them, you can do stuff. So for us, we have a lookup service record one. You may have seen my hanger with all the pictures in it. That's also a service, that's also a channel point thing. And one of the things that I added in was the ability for community members to be able to pick my name. So basically, it was a way of interacting with people on a content side of things. And unfortunately, now you can't do that because they've taken away that option. But also, I understand why they took away that option, because there was going to be an issue down the line. And I'll explain the issue. So imagine if somebody really wants to get you into trouble because they have a terrible life, and they are trying to circumnavigate it by annihilating everything around them. Now, what they could do is they could pose as you, basically, and do some heinous stuff. And then all they have to do is record it or highlight it and then stick it up on a social media platform. And because the vast majority of people will not have two brain cells to rub together, what will end up happening is they will start believing that that other person did this heinous thing, even though they had nothing to do with it and probably were asleep at the time or eating. So the problem with the system, the old system, would have been that. And clearing your name would have been a little bit hard to do, apart from the squadron tag. And if somebody in your squadron decided to do it, then you were kind of screwed. So there wasn't any way that you were getting out of it. and there was no real way of proving it wasn't you unless you actually go into the replays of everything and do that. And generally, whoever strikes first when it comes to social media stuff, people just believe outright because, as I said, people are sheep and a lot of them are very stupid. So that ends up happening, and it's very annoying. It's happened to me a bunch of times. I've even had to do videos on the channel going through certain things, me personally being blamed for stuff that I never did. And also just had witch hunts on my ass for things that I have not even been anywhere near, just because somebody has a bee in their bonnet about something because, as I said, they have nothing better going on in their lives. So that's the thing. You have these two sides of the coin, and do you err on the safe side or do you err on the fun side? And as we've seen over the last month or two, Gaijin have very much been erring on the safe side when it comes to pretty much everything. And in the current climate, when it comes to the world and what's going on with the invasion of Ukraine, and also a lot of countries cracking down on speech, by the way, if you haven't been reading what's been coming out of Eastern Europe, then of course they are just trying their best to safely navigate these waters, which are not going to be easy for anybody. So they're always going to go the safe route in situations like this, and that's exactly what we see here. When it comes to what's happening with the privacy mode. So one of the features which I thought was really fun and really interesting from the community point of view, and gave an extra piece of content to be able to add to everything. Unfortunately, it's gone, but I understand why. Because of the spoofing and because of all of that stuff. There was also a bunch of changes for ground vehicles as well, basically fixing a lot of different little areas of them. So the first one was a bug has been fixed that prevents the maximum reverse speed stated in the manuals. So that's pretty good. I'm guessing a few machines were struggling with that. The vignette of the gun sight has been reduced in rank 1 to 4 vehicles. This is nice, so you basically get a better field of view when it comes to a bunch of vehicles, and hopefully this helps certain vehicles from longer ranges to be able to fight. And then Centurion all versions, the pivot radius has been reduced, so the Centurions should be able to move around a little bit better, which is good, because one of the major issues with the Centurions, especially as they go up in BR, stuff like the SDRV 105, stuff like the Gimel and things like that, it is their mobility. Their mobility is one of their weakest parts when it comes to the game, because they get all of this additional armor and they get, the additional optics and additional FCS and rounds, but the engine is something that doesn't change that much. So generally they just become very, very slow when it comes to their feet. Then also you have the Type 87 RCV. The sight magnification has been corrected from 2.7 to 12.0 to 8. So you won't have the zoom function on it, and you won't be able to zoom as much. But 8 times 8 on an optics is still very good. So I wouldn't worry too much about the RCV in that way. I'd worry more about the fact that the Puma exists, and the RCV just gets annihilated by that thing. The Puma just eats it alive right now. And then you got the Jagdtiger. A bug has been fixed that prevents display of the armor values of the whole front, upper, and lower plates in the hangar. I'm guessing this is related to the removal of volumetric on the Jagdtiger as well. I'm guessing that was what was causing those bugs. The LAVAD, the armor-piercing capabilities of the M247 rockets have been corrected for angled hits, so hopefully that means they'll be a little bit more realistic. The Machbet, the, of course, upgraded M163 from the Israelis. A bug has also been fixed for it that prevents the SAM launches when the commander is knocked out, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, since they're probably more gunner-controlled. The Makava Mark 4B and Mark 4M, a bug has been fixed that disabled blowout panels of the ammo racks located behind the turret. Well, yeah, that's a bit rough. And also on them as well, the vertical targeting angles of the commander's sights have been adjusted from -10 to +20 to -20 to +60. So a lot better than they were before. And stabilization of the commander sight has been added too. So those should be super good. The only issue I have with commander sights in general is the fact that they're slow to turn sometimes compared to the standard, turret itself. So it can feel a little bit janky, but they've done a lot of improvements to commander sights over the time. I should use them more, but I don't, unfortunately. And when it comes to the Israeli grind, by the way, I'm up to 9.0 now, and my my thoughts about the Israeli grind is it's not that bad. There's a lot of MBTs, and the MBTs are all fine to play. Like most of them I'm 2 to 1 or 1.5 to 1 with, but my win rates are shocking right now when it comes to the Israelis. Like I'm sat with a lot of vehicles around 45% win rate, which my average win rate is generally about 56. So I'm about 10% down on what my average is. And I think it's mainly down to the fact that Israel just doesn't have full lineups. You basically have 2 tanks and then maybe a cast plane if you're lucky, and that's really about it. And especially at 9.0 Israel, you've actually got a pretty strong lineup if you have the premium. 3 Macavers, the Hovet, and then also you have the cast elements of the A4, which work pretty well. But the issue is you still don't have any light tanks. You don't have any real AAs. Your cast is good, but it's not perfect compared to other nations, and you just get annihilated out. So if you have 2 vehicles which get killed by like artillery or get killed by bombs or missiles or something like that, then you're pretty much out the game. Where if with any or most other nations around those BRs, if I get knocked out in 2 vehicles, then I have a ton more that I can choose from to bring in. The T-72M2 Moderna, the armor description of the turret has been corrected in X-ray mode, so that's good. Then the VT-12 and the Baglet Panzer 57, a bug has been fixed that prevented gun breach damage when the module is not shot through. Interesting. There's actually quite a few vehicles that are like that, by the way, or at least they feel like that. I might be wrong about this, because there's always the one of the problems with trying to work out if it's a bug or not is the whole client server side thing. So something that can happen on your client side may not happen on the server side because of the differences in ping and also your connection to the server. So one of the things that happens quite a lot is when you shoot a, let's say, center of a vehicle and they're turning their turret, the round may hit the gun, but because their turret is slightly in a different place than before, and their barrel is in slightly different place than before, the round kind of gets eaten by the turret or eaten by the gun and doesn't do any damage. And it's super annoying, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, that's just one of the issues of, being an online video game. It's because you're not in a LAN environment, stuff like that's going to happen. Then you've also got the Zaklam Tega. It's been moved to rank 4 now. And the research, purchase, repair, and crew training costs have been changed correspondingly, as well as other economic values. So it's nice to see that thing go down in BR. It sucks that it took this long to put it down in BR and also rank, by the way. It should have been seen from any individual who was looking at that thing on the dev server that it needed to move down now, and especially if you were going to put the Puma at the ridiculous BR that you did. So yeah, it's nice that it's there. It's annoying that it took a month to do, but at least it is done. Justice has been done for the Zaklam. It's in a much better place. It'll still be awful, but it's at least in a much better place. For aviation, there's a few changes as well, starting with the MiG-23 MLA. The incorrect depletion order of countermeasures has been fixed. The upper blocks will now run first, so that should be better. Also, the Kafir C2 and C7, the countermeasure ammo in each block has been increased from 16 to 18, so they get basically a few extra pieces of countermeasures. That's always nice, especially on high-tier vehicles. I've been using the F-104s recently, and the difference between having countermeasures and not having countermeasures in situations makes, you know, a completely different playstyle, let's say, and a completely different experience. Countermeasures are very, very important. The reset of the time fuse for bombs while changing game mode has been fixed, thank God. That used to happen quite a lot, at least to me. I'm sure it happened to others as well, and was always annoying to happen. And then the FC-20 BIS, the missing description of rounds of the same type has been corrected for armored targets and also aerial target belts. So some little changes there, which will be nice for it. And then Naval has a few as well. The PTF-7 bug has been fixed that prevented maximum speed declared in the operation manual, so probably similar to the reverse one. And then the HMS Cadiz, the Euro modification has been corrected to make sure that it is historical. They also did a bunch of other changes to the UI, starting with the ability to toggle the view of custom camos available in the market in the vehicle customization menu. You can view offer displayed once for each camo, and at the moment, the option is available for camos from the Wind of Change trophies. They're obviously trying it out. One of the things that has been brought up, which I thought was an interesting one and has been brought up by a few community members, is the idea of maybe having a system of being able to tell which camouflages you have purchased or not, or have from the Gaijin store. So basically what was happening to a few people is they're like, oh, that's a nice camo and it's pretty cheap, I'll pick it up. And then they didn't realize they already had it on their vehicle because they'd already had it, they'd already claimed it, or they'd already found it in another place. It was just a very long time ago. So maybe adding maybe a list of the marketplace camos, kind of like how you have the camos for the other stuff, to be able to, and also a search function. Please add a search function to the profile, not just for stuff like that, but also for the service record part itself, just so you can see individual vehicles. That would be really nice just to prevent those issues. And then also a bug has been fixed where the mouse sensitivity increased after enabling the option fix gun direction in mouse view, which is a bit of a problem. And then the display of the grass at long distances has been improved, so the LOD settings have been corrected. That's lovely to hear. The game looks beautiful now. Like in Ultra HQ, the game looks absolutely fantastic. It's amazing to think that this is the same game I played nearly 10 years ago now, and the changes it's gone through when it comes to its graphical fidelity. The missing highlights of the vehicle's outline has been fixed for SB replays, which is good, and a bug has also been fixed that disabled the invert axis option for traverse and pitch axis on a weapon. I did have an interesting bug after this update, and I wonder if it's going to be fixed or not. The elevator on my planes got switched. So basically, when it came to my elevator, I use Z and X for my elevator because I'm weird. And I went into a match to get one of my dailies done, and I was trying to dodge a missile, and I hit my elevator button to pull upwards to dodge it, and it pulled downwards, therefore exerting negative G, and then my plane fell apart. And I was like, oh well, that's wonderful. So I've had to swap them now. So we'll see if that they fix that, or if it was broken in the first place and now it's good. Vehicles from the latest crafting event, the crafting event of the 5th season of the Battle Pass that are available from the market, have been added to the tech trees. So that's lovely to see. Always nice to have more info so people can see it. And then there was also a server update on the 6th, and all they did was fix the incorrect display of the real value of the bomb activation time, which would occur after switching the game difficulty mode. So another addition to the update from previously. But that's all of the changelogs over the last little bit. Decent amount of information and some really cool changes. Not just bug fixes, but also some different UI elements, which is always nice. But as always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Merciless Reaper, Jerry Provolt, Mega Dino King, Professor X1718,
Orangetail, Sakoshi Tiger, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, Moxie, B. Young, and Derek R., Barine, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.